الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be on the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and on all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. Prior to the break for Salah, we talked about the last of the major rites of Hajj, those for the day of Eid, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. And we spoke about the difference between trimming and shaving. And we had spoken about that earlier. Shaving is more humbling, and this is why it is preferred. Trimming is allowed, but the greatest and the greater reward is for those who shave. And this is specifically for men. For the women, it is trimming a portion of the hair gathered and cut. Shaving was not prescribed for them. Some scholars would consider it makruh or disliked. Some have even made it haram. But we don't have any clear statements of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to it, beyond telling the women to trim and the men to shave. And as we said, this symbolization that is there in the shaving is linked to the other time in our lives when our heads were shaved. And that was at the time of the Aqiqah. The ceremony on the 7th day that we do, it's not really a ceremony. There's certain things that the Prophet ﷺ advised us, encouraged us to do, to shave the head of the child. And the hair that you shave from the head of the child is actually in Arabic called aqiqah. That's where the name comes from. So the name is directly related to the aqiqah. People call it the naming ceremony. And so sometimes they won't even shave the head of the child. The women may feel that it's a girl and she doesn't have much hair on her head already, so it's better not to shave it, So, they may be resistant to the shaving. But the whole point of the aqiqah is to shave the head of the child. You don't shave the head of the child, you didn't do aqiqah. Simple as that. So shaving the head of the child, then giving its weight in silver or gold as charity, and naming the child at that time, slaughtering an animal, 2 for males, or 1 if that's what you can afford, and 1 for females. The food is, it could be cooked up and given, shared with neighbors and others, eaten from yourself, or the meat itself could be divided up and given. Anyway, the point is that on this day, we are slaughtering an animal and shaving our heads. It reminds us of that day. When that head was shaved as a child, it represented a new stage in life. Having been in the womb, that was the hair that grew on our heads when we were in the wombs of our mothers. Now we are doing the rites of Hajj and concluding those rites, or part of those rites, again now with slaughtering and shaving. And we know that the Hajj symbolizes a new start, because we are supposed to be purified from sin through performing the rites of Hajj according to how they were prescribed. So there is that link, like a new lease on life. And part of what should remind us to be careful to stay on track after the Hajj. So Hajj is not just an event with no real impact on our lives. Following that, we have Tawaf al-Ifada. And actually the Tawaf al-Ifada is the same as Tawaf al-Qudum, except there is no sa'i. Except there is no sa'i. And the Tawaf, we can see, we spoke about the significance of the Tawaf in that it is one of the most oft repeated rites of the Hajj. It's put at the beginning when we came in making the Umrah. It's put in the middle here in Tawaf al-Ifada, and it will be put at the end again. We'll look at Tawaf al-Wida'. And it, as we said, or as the Prophet ﷺ said, is a walking prayer. In our lives, prayer has been standing, bowing, prostrating, and sitting. Now we pray while walking. And the Prophet ﷺ actually said that tawaf is salah, except that we speak in it. So the Tawaf al-Ifada should be done with the same spirit we spoke about in Tawaf al-Qudum, that this is worshipping Allah. It shouldn't be done mechanically. We shouldn't be using books that we just read from. We don't know what is being said there. Better we make du'as from ourselves. Also, in making the tawaf, we said that we should be seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, glorifying Him. So what we normally do in our prayers with Fatiha and the surahs after and the transitional words that we say or phrases that we say, Sami Allahu liman hamida, etc. All of these involve praising Allah or seeking His forgiveness. In the same way, when we're making tawaf, we should be doing the same. And it should come from our hearts. Because repeating after somebody, which is the common practice, people get in groups. One person buys the tawaf book, which tells you on the first tawaf, and they've got a different dua for every tawaf, for every tawaf of Hajj and Umrah and etc. When actually these are not prescribed. They have good meanings, most of them, but they're not prescribed. So people have taken those to be necessary du'as to make. But the best du'as are the ones which come from ourselves. Because we're calling on Allah, we're seeking His guidance, seeking His forgiveness. It can only be done effectively and sincerely if we know what we're saying. And the tawaf links the Hajj from beginning to end, and it addresses the issues of change that should happen in us. We should be calling on Allah's help to make this Hajj acceptable and a means of change in our lives. And the last tawaf, tawaf al-wida'. This is the concluding act of Hajj before leaving Mecca. We make tawaf, which is unique to Masjid al-Haram. We don't make tawaf any place else, although you will find, as we mentioned earlier, people making tawaf, in Ajmer, around the tomb there, in Egypt, and in other countries. We have the tombs or mausoleums of saints, etc., that people go and make tawaf around, even writing notes, putting them inside the cages that they put around the graves, believing that when everybody leaves, the saint comes out of his graves, collects the notes and reads them, and does something for you. May Allah guide the ignorant. So, in leaving Mina on the last day, because after the 10th, we have the 11th and the 12th, we go back to Mina. And again, the rites of Mina focus on the same three that we spoke about. We have added to it stoning. And on the third of those days, on the 13th or on the 12th, we can leave Mina. And at that point, we should leave Mina feeling we've left behind us something precious. We shouldn't be leaving Mina wiping our foreheads and saying, finally, it's over. As so many people tend to do, if that's how we're leaving it, then it means we've missed out on the Hajj. It hasn't purified us. We have not benefited from the rites. We have not grown closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grown in our consciousness of the deen. When we leave the holiday places that we go to, we leave there with a heavy heart. Holiday is over. Going back home. So we feel sad to go back home. But unfortunately, most people, when they're leaving Mecca and leaving the Hajj, Mina, they're treating it just the opposite. They're happy to go home. We've had enough. And this is the sign that we missed the boat. The Kaaba is the focal point of prayer for Muslims all over the world. It's not an object of worship, though people might be fooled into thinking that, who watch us from the outside, non-Muslims observing us, might very well conclude that we worship the Kaaba. But reality is, of course, that we don't. It's a means of organizing our worship. The 1.7 billion Muslims around the world, we're all facing the Kaaba in our worship. But the vast majority of Muslims will never see the Kaaba. So those of us that manage to get there and actually see the Kaaba with our own eyes, this should have real value in our lives. It should touch our lives. There are a number of figures in the modern times of people from the West, etc., who accepted Islam and came to Mecca, and they've written about their impressions, how it impacted on them. It's good to read some of their stories to better understand the way we should be feeling. The Kaaba represents Tawheed. There's only one. As there's only one Allah, there's only one Kaaba. There's only one human race, And there's only one religion. It's Tawheed in its completeness. Now I'll give you a chance to ask some questions if you'd like to ask. Also to mention that this course on the soul of Hajj is available on the Islamic Online University's website among the free diploma courses. You can take it there, where I go into more detail, another course which I'd given here a few years back. And I've gone there into Medina also, because for a lot of people Hajj is not Hajj unless you go to Medina. This time here I've just focused on Mecca, the actual Hajj. But that is added information. Most people who go end up going to Medina also. So there's additional information there about what is to be done there, the significance of the various places of ziyarah, and the rewards and benefits from visiting Medina. The Islamic Online University fundamentally is a free university providing free courses on Islam for over 250,000 students around the world. It also provides courses at almost free costs which are just registration fees, about $150 per semester, meaning that it's about $1,200 here for a degree, an accredited degree. We also, if you are in one of the third world countries, it's only $70 per semester, or it might be $80. The rates have been set according to the GNP of the various countries around the world. So we do offer Islamic studies, as you can imagine. It's called Islamic Online University. So we have Sharia as a main bachelor's program that we offer. We also have masters in Sharia, Islamic studies. But we also offer a bachelor's in education, as well as Islamic banking and finance, also in psychology, information technology, business administration, in Arabic language and linguistics. These are the courses, and we are adding new courses each year, ultimately to be able to teach whatever can be taught online, make it available to the Ummah. The motto of the university is changing the nation through education. And we are reaching out to various communities, Muslim communities around the world. Right now we're focusing in Africa as well as in Asia. And we're trying to provide access to tertiary education to those who normally would not have it. It's not merely to make it cheaper for those who could afford it, but fundamentally it is for those who can't afford it, and it will give them the opportunity to be able to get it. So we are working with different communities, different parts of the Muslim world, to try to promote the courses for the needy of the various communities. One of the areas that we're focusing right now is on orphanages. We have many orphanages which have been set up by charitable organizations, across the Muslim world, Muslim communities. But these orphanages, while providing for orphans, once that orphan has completed his secondary education or her secondary education, the provision and support ends. and they're left on their own. And actually, finishing this job is critical, because the time that they most need support is when it comes to tertiary education. So we are trying to link up with some of the charitable bodies that are concerned, and when this is brought to them, actually many of them haven't thought about it. They just took it for granted. When you finished high school, that's it. You're on your own. We've done our part. People don't usually donate beyond that for them. So we have sort of tried to wake up these charitable institutions to consider this seriously, that we need to finish the job of educating the orphans of the Ummah. So, inshallah, if any of you would like to help with this project, we encourage you to participate with us. If you in your country have contacts with certain charitable organizations that you would like to put us in touch with, that we can help, we're only too happy to help. Barakallah fikum. Thank you all for coming, and may Allah make whatever knowledge was shared beneficial for you in your lives, and we hope that you would share it with others, because I'm sure there are points that have been raised which maybe you weren't aware of, etc., and many others around you are not aware. So please do share that knowledge, because the greatest reward is in sharing the knowledge after getting it, and pass on the word to others also to benefit from the recording of this series, especially your friends who are planning to make Hajj. Recording of this series is available at the Islamic Online University website. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.